everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Jan Del Castillo, and I'm going to talk about how to sustain fun in your classroom in the virtual world, specifically in the preschool setting. I myself is a teacher, so I know the challenges that you've been going through with all these adjustments to the new normal, distance and online learning. So I hope you find this discussion useful and beneficial for your class. Before I start my formal discussion, just a point of reflection because recently a colleague asked me that us teachers, we've been very expressive of the challenges that we are experiencing adjusting to this whole distance virtual learning. But have you ever thought about or have you ever wondered what or how does this affect children? What do they think? What do they feel about this virtual learning, seeing their teacher on the screen, seeing their friends on the screen? How does this affect them? I think more than the cognitive development, it's important to think about how does this affect their social emotional development. We know that at this stage, children are meant to be outdoors. Children are meant to develop their gross motor skills by running, right? Running around, engaging in sports, developing their socialization skills by being with their friends, interacting with them. But thinking about it, these are the things that they can't really do now, right? All of these are restrictions. They are restricted, they are meant to stay home just like adults. So I think it's important that when we plan our activities, we also consider this development. Because I know cognitively, like all the academics, reading, writing, letters, all these are very much important as well. But I think we should also not forget that these children, they might not understand what's going on. So I think just a point of reflection, when you plan your activities, make it fun, yes, but touch on the social emotional development. I think it's just as important the cognitive, especially now with everything that's going on. We should be there to support the children as well. Okay, so first, just like in your physical classroom, it's very, very important that you engage the children. So first, we're going to talk about project engage. So in a physical classroom, it's easier to engage the children because you can see them. Virtually, the question is how are you going to engage them? And you know, as a preschool teacher, when the children are not engaged, just like what other teachers would say, these children will eat you alive, and you know that's very true. So how can we engage the children? It's very important to ensure that the children are very much engaged and involved in the activities. When they are not involved, you're just having your monologue. You'll just be talking and talking and talking, but their attention is not with you. And is very true. So these are some of the activities that are very common in the preschool setting, which teachers find it very difficult to integrate virtually. So one is dress up, second experiments, and third would be storytelling. Dress up and experiments, I will talk about this further in the next slides. Now I want to focus on storytelling first. I think in storytelling, the challenge would be since most of us are working from home, we don't have the books, we don't have the readers. We find it difficult to find stories to relate to our topics. So one alternative that you can have would be the use of ebooks. I think Get Epic is a very nice website. You can have a try. You can check it out. Ebooks, they have, I think it comes in two different options. You have the storybook itself, and some would have the an interactive session. So you can go and explore them and use it in your class. Also for storytelling, you can be a storyteller. When you do dress up, it's not only for children to dress up, right? Like as a storyteller, as a teacher, you can dress up yourself and be different storytellers be different story characters relating to your topic. One suggestion could be a storyteller with a crazy hair. Okay, dressing up like this would also solve your other challenges. One is they'll be engaged because they will give you the wow effect, and also it will help you to manage your class since they're engaged. So you'll get their attention, and at the same time it will be fun. It will be fun to have different storytellers in a day. Today you have a storyteller with a crazy hair, maybe tomorrow you have a storyteller who's a chef, or the next day you have a storyteller who's a drummer. Okay, be very creative. Okay, think of different ways to engage your children, not only through activities but also when they see you visually. You can use your animated voices, or since it's very visual, think about ways on how you can attract them visually to get their attention. I have tried to think of some common themes from the preschool, and I think looking at this picture you already have an idea that it's the farm theme. So I gave this example so that I can maybe help you think or extract activities from a big core theme. So, for example, your theme is farm. Okay, how can we make this fun? How can we make it exciting? Okay, maybe you can do a story about farm. Also, you can dress up like a farmer. Introduce yourself as a farmer today. Yesterday, you were a storyteller with a crazy hair. Today, you're farmer Jan. Talk about a story. You can introduce it that way, and then play a game. How do you play a game virtually? This is very similar to the Bring Me game, but you'll do it in a way like, okay, children, we're going to go on a trip. Are you excited? Who wants to go on a trip? Where are we going? We are going to go on a trip to the kitchen. So here you're trying to break down your core topic. So your core topic is your farm. Now we go to the different types of farms. See, you have your vegetable, fruits, and everything. So you can get the children involved. So go on a trip to the kitchen, take any 2 food items, and we're going to sort it out later. Okay? When you are playing games like this, try to be very specific with your instructions and your time. Okay? So when you ask them to go on a trip to the kitchen, they have to know what are they looking for. Okay? So any food items, like what? So you give examples. So before you do this, like you can give example. I have here a pasta. So if you think about it, pasta is from which type of farm? And then you can relate it to your topic or a story. Maybe you have mentioned about the grain farm, right? So you can emphasize that I have a pasta, and when I sort it out, I will put it under the grain type of farm. So also give very concrete and realistic examples. Why is it important to give concrete or specific examples or maybe instructions? Let's say 2 to 3 minutes. It's very important that you comply with the time given because it will also affect your time management. Okay, so have a timer ready with you, and when your children have already gone to their kitchen, try not to have a very awkward silence. Okay, try to still talk to them because we're just assuming that they're on speakers and they can hear you. Okay, so like 2 minutes left. Maybe some of you are getting apple, some of you are getting orange. So they can hear you. You're also giving them other ideas which they can take. Maybe I want to get apple, I want to get orange. Okay, 1 minute to go, let's go, some of your friends are back. Okay, so they'll be in a hurry. Okay, then 30 seconds, and then you're down to your 10, 9, 8. So everyone slowly comes back to their spot. It's also a good way of calling their attention. Okay, now it's time to go back. Okay, so be very creative in this way. So play games with your kids. Another very common theme in a preschool would be community workers and helpers. So, as mentioned, you can introduce the topic through a story. Also, don't forget don't forget to dress up, okay, so that your children will be excited to see you and excited to learn um, what they're going to learn for the day. So let's say your theme for the week would be community workers or helpers. Okay, today our focus would be chef. I want to be a chef. What does a chef wear? What do they do? Where do you see chefs, right? So, and then at the end of the week, you can always plan for a review. Okay, you can even like have a party, a dress up day. Okay, and I think I've provided here an activity, but the focus here is a postman. So for today, if you have chef, tomorrow you can have a postman. Now, this is very similar to the activity that we did earlier, where you've asked the children to search something at home. This can also be integrated here. So you can get them to look around the house, gather some stamps, maybe perhaps mommy or daddy would have a stamp album that they can share. So later on, you can also have sharing or a show and tell. So the learning is very experiential for them. So you've talked about being a chef, you've talked about being a postman. You can also talk about doctor. And I think talking about the healthcare workers now is very timely. So dressing up as a doctor also, I think it's important that you relate it to what is happening now. Why are we wearing masks? What do doctors do now? What do nurses do now, right? I think it's very important that they are able to relate it with what is currently happening. You can even have a cooking session or a baking session. You probably would want to plan it ahead. Would you want to have more of a demo session so that you have all the ingredients ready? Or probably you would want them to do it alongside with you. So, as I've mentioned, it's just a matter of planning ahead. Because if you would want the children to be actively engaged or actively involved in your baking or in your cooking session, you have to let the parents know. So, because most of the time now, especially that most of the parents are working from home, so they might not be available during that time, and you can't expect the child to do it alone. Okay, I mean they're lucky if they have a helper with them, which can who can assist them. But these are some activities that you might want to take into consideration as well. Okay, now we go to experiments. So as I've mentioned, experiments is something that's very magical for them. And I know now it's easier for teachers because we have Pinterest. I think Pinterest is every teacher's BFF nowadays. Like you can just search a list of DIY science experiments at home. But I think more than that, you also have to consider the limited resources that they might have at home. When I had the farm topic, I have tried to integrate. I'm actually an advocate for sustainability and recycling, so I've tried to think of extension activities related to it. So, regrowing vegetable scraps. Try also to think of activities that the children can look after or the children can do even off camp. Okay, so for example, regrowing vegetable scraps. Um, I mean, I'm assuming that everyone would have any of this, so it's very much accessible. And you can see how the children are excited to see, growing carrot tops or waiting for the garlic to grow this way or even your lettuce. And then, so try to think of ways like this. So extend your activities. Farm topic should not stop should not stop there. There's so much to learn. So get them to have hands-on activities at home as well. Eco break. When I introduced this in my preschool, the teachers were like, how will children understand this? But I think this will be more appropriate for pre-K to K, maybe I think children ages 4 to 6, like those who can already hold child-friendly scissors, because it's not only teaching them how to recycle, it's also helping them develop their fine motor skills. Cutting, because cutting plastics like this, you don't really have a size, like a specific shape or a specific size, as long as it's smaller, and then you can put it inside. Okay, try to think of extension activities that they can do even off cam. DIY compost bottle, I think it's also a very nice activity, and as mentioned, all the materials are very much accessible at home. Classroom management, the only reason I'm tackling this is because managing the children virtually is very important to ensure that your classroom is fun. Because even if you've planned lots of fun and very exciting activities, if you're not able to manage the children well, everything will go to waste. So classroom management is very different when it comes to virtual class. Do you see the pictures here? Do they look very familiar? Or do you see this every day? Okay, so I think in a virtual class, for me, my challenge would be most of the time, a parent would be there, either the mom, the dad, or the helper. And you know how children act differently when the mommy is there or the dad is there, right? But I think just let the children settle in. Okay, let's not force them. Try to make it very positive. Try to understand that these children might be anxious. Okay, they might not know, like, why are they seeing you virtually? That's one. Second, they're at home, meaning there's a change of environment. Their home is their comfort zone. So we also have to consider that. Of course, parents, when they're around, they would act differently. Okay, and they're also adjusting. So what I would suggest would be, just don't force them. Okay, try to make it in a very positive way. Let's say your child is playing, not even in front of your computer, but you can see them playing. Okay, try to sing and call them. Where is Erica? Where is Erica? See if it will help the child sit down. Or else, just do your fun activities. You know how children are very much observant. If they see that you're having fun, if they see that their friends are having fun, slowly, right? Slowly, when they're ready, they'll be able to participate. Okay? But if you really think that the child is struggling, talk to the parent. Talk to the parent, work with the parent, see how you can work it out. Okay? I think adjustment is there, but as I've mentioned, try to be more positive and just work with the parents. I think that's very, very important. The last, I think, is learning to be flexible. Teachers, I know, are very flexible. That's why now we're doing distance learning. But when I talk about flexible, um, it's giving parents alternatives and options when you have an activity, which I will relate to the things that we have discussed earlier. So you have to consider that their resources and materials at home are very limited. I'm not sure how some schools do it. I know some of the schools would prepare a kit and get the parents to pick it up from school or something like that. But some schools, they will just do it virtually without giving anything in a hard copy or any kit or something. It's just see you virtually, that's it. Okay, so limited resources, with parents' involvement. So how can we give alternatives and options? So what I mean here is, for example, you're doing a dress-up activity. Let's say your community helper celebration or community helper dress-up activity. So your goal is for the children to dress up as what they want to be when they grow up. So that's your plan A. So that's your best alternative or your best option. But you have to think about, what if the parents of this child don't have time and they don't have the luxury to have this dress up clothes? So what is your second best option? So your second option could be find a tool at home that could explain um, what that community helper is doing. So, for example, the child want to be a builder. Maybe the child can borrow daddy's hammer. Or how about if the child wants to be a baker? Maybe you can borrow mommy's rolling pin. So your first option could be the dress up, like the clothes itself or the attire. Second would be the tools. How about the child doesn't have the clothes and the child doesn't have the tools available? Let's say the child wants to be a firefighter. So it's very challenging to find the attire and the tools for a firefighter. But your goal is for the child to share that he wants to be a firefighter. So what could be your option? Your option could be get the children to draw. I want to be a firefighter. I'm going to draw a firefighter. Because at the end of the day, when you do your sharing or your show and tell, the goal is still there. The child is still able to share what he wants to be when he grows up. So you just have to think of alternatives and options. Have a certain goal, plan A, plan B, plan C. Okay? Give these options and alternatives to parents to ensure that your activity is still successful given the limited resources that they may have. Also, I think it's very important when you have these activities planned, communicate with the parents ahead of time. As mentioned, most of the parents now are working from home. They might be very busy, busier than ever. So you just have to ensure that you communicate this ahead of time. I think the bottom line in having fun in a preschool virtual classroom is still to play games. Okay, don't expect children to just sit down and watch you. Okay, if I'm the child, I would also run around. Okay, I mean, what's the difference of watching my Paw Patrol YouTube videos and watching my teacher just talk and talk to me, right? Play games, have fun, and I think as a teacher, you yourself need to enjoy it. Okay, embrace it, enjoy the learning experience. It could be tough, I acknowledge that, but at the end of the day, it's for the children. It will be worth it. So engage them and don't forget to excite them. Okay, and as teachers, you have to also be very excited. I think I want to end this discussion or talk with a quote saying, "It takes a big heart to help share the to help shape little minds." Um, I know as educators, it's at the end of the day what makes it what makes our lives fulfilling, or even our mission, is to ensure that your children are learning. They are learning in a very fun way, okay, in a meaningful way. So with that, thank you so much, and I hope you found this helpful. Thank you.